And then how do species interact with each other in an environment? And then do animals and trees return to destroyed habitats on their own? Provide specific examples. And these questions are on your packet. So you just want to think about if you've seen anything after a natural disaster. For that last question, think about populations and population sizes of animals that we see around us. I don't know, does anybody know what animals are around here? I'm not from Houston, so I need someone to tell me what's around here.
Dogs.
Dogs.
The only trillish animals in the town.
Okay. Does anyone have any other? Like, I see a lot of squirrels over where we're staying. Okay, so think about what those animals that you see around all the time. You guys, and then we're answering the 3 questions.
Okay, my cuz.
All right, if you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. Okay. This is silently and independently or quietly with a partner. If you're talking, it needs to be at a level 1 voice, so only your partner can hear you, and answer these first 3 questions. You have about 3 minutes to do that. Just get your ideas down and be thinking about the populations and animals that we see around us, around Houston, or around Texas, if you go farther outside of Houston. Okay? You guys can start. Okay, yeah. That's a big one. That's a big one. Okay, guys, a little over a minute left. Everyone needs to be writing or talking with your favorites about it.
I keep those.
Okay, 15 seconds left. Okay, timer is up. for our puzzling question, our new puzzling question is, how have natural disasters affected living beings in our region over time? And I thought that we should maybe take a flashback to, what was it, for 2 years ago, or a year ago. It's a little small. It's really small, but just watching the little box. Can everyone see this tiny little video? It's a little bit too small. Can't see it. Well, try to look close to the camera. Turn it way over.
I'm actually struggling with that.
Does anyone remember this? Were you guys affected by it?
I've
Here?
never seen no video. But wait, it was.
610 Market Street, Snow Lake.
So on the left was before, and on the right is after.
There.
After Hurricane Harvey.
You really see
This is Interstate 10 is what it says. This one says
610
Market Street,
Snow Lake.
A la verga.
Meyerland Plaza,
Pinches mamás. Wait.
Highway 610.
Kevin, ese día no estaban diciendo troqueando que todo un mundo de la verga.
Me voy a quemar ya te voy a salir en las noticias.
No mames.
He has moved on. It's the way stations now. Okay,
So Hurricane Harvey was a natural disaster, and you don't often think about how these natural disasters affect other populations. You see all these, the streets are flooded, and you can't drive your car, but there's a lot of things that live here, like us, or you guys live here, I didn't live here, but you guys are a population that were affected by this, just like all the animals, there's trees that are affected, and that have long-lasting effects on how populations can recover in an area. But so to understand how populations are affected by things like natural disasters, we kind of need to learn about populations and groups and individuals and communities from the ground up. So that's where we're going to start at the very base of this, so you can understand as we go up how populations and the ecosystem and the whole biosphere, so the whole world is affected by this. Okay? So that's what our next unit will be about. So we'll get started at the individual.
All right, everybody. So we are working on the packet that you all have that we should our do now on. So you guys just did this do now right here, and then we're gonna be starting with main idea 1. All right, so the next, I don't think it'll take us longer than 15 minutes to go through the PowerPoint slides, but you're gonna be following along in your packet, taking notes. So for this first section, we also have a chart up here, because each slide has your level, the description, and the example. So that's what you'll be filling on each slide, and then we'll move into some more stuff. So we're gonna get started, like Ms. Hughes said, with the organism. So, as you can see, an organism is an individual living thing. All right, so a couple keywords here. Individual, it means just one item. So it shows the pronghorn antelope. It looks kind of like a deer. I think they're found in like Africa, desert type areas. So we have one pronghorn antelope is an organism. And then you also need to notice that it says a living thing, right? So it's not like one rock, it's not one chair. It is one living individual. So that's an organism. Everybody have this down, make sure you're writing, it's just real brief. You see organism for description, you can just put an individual living thing, and then example, you see pronghorn antelope. And then later in class, we're gonna come up with some of our own examples as well. All right, I see lots of pencils down, so I think everyone has it. If not, Ms. Hughes also has it up here. Okay, so then we look at population, right? Population is members of one species inhabiting the same area. So it says here, herd of pronghorn antelope. So this means that it's all of the same living creatures. So here it shows a herd of pronghorn antelope, right? Multiple, it could be the male pronghorn antelopes, the females, the little baby ones, right? But they're all together. They inhabit the same area, right? So this isn't talking about all of the pronghorn antelopes in, an entire country. It's talking about a herd that lives together. So members of one species inhabiting the same area. That's your description. And then your example is a herd of pronghorn antelope, right? They all live together. They do everything together. They eat, sleep, walk around the prairie grass. All right, I see a couple more pencils moving. Awesome, so that is population. On to the next one. So, level 3, this is community. So, community, 2 or more populations of different species living and interacting in the same area. Okay, so, and this it shows snakes, antelopes, hawks, bushes, and rats. Okay, so this one's a little bit different because now it's talking about like bushes and grass, which as we know are living things, right? So we could have been doing this whole example with, a tree, but now it's adding in multiple living species that interact in the same area. Okay, so you can see down here there's a snake, right, and then an antelope, a hawk. So you can kind of think about how when we talk about like our food webs recently, so those like predator-prey systems, how those are going to be involved in a community, as well as your plants. So like in this example, bushes, different kinds of grasses. If we think about how we talk about like our photosynthesis and our cellular respiration, how plants are super important to sustain other living life, right? So community, if you think about like your own community, right? It's multiple, people, places working together to have like a successful area. So that's what community is. 2 or more populations of different species living and interacting in the same area. Okay. Next, so this one is pretty broad. It says the biotic and abiotic parts of an environment. Does anybody know, right off the top of their head, what biotic or abiotic, what those words mean?
Is it biotic like genetic?
I think I heard someone say over here. Living and non-living. Thank you, Robbie. So, bio, so if you think about this is a biology class, we're studying life. So that bio means life. So in this, biotic is living, and then abiotic, because we put that A in front of it, it means non-living. A. So we have biotic, which is living. Anything living, it's talking about animals, plants, humans, animal, or abiotic, non-living things. Alright, so that's where you bring in those rocks, your streams, because water is not living. Alright, so our ecosystem involves our biotic and our abiotic parts of an environment, our living and non-living parts of an environment. And this example shows, it's kind of hard to read, so